Q&A time, question and answer time. I got 7 questions in front of me. The first question, I would like to read it out to you. Enjoy today's philosophy lesson very much. If we do good or what we think are good, who decides where we should go after our death? Who judges? Who is our judge? Well, I appreciate you enjoyed today's philosophy, the Buddha's philosophy. Who decides where you should go? Who is the judge? There's no judge. You create your judge in your mind. Who judges where you go? Nobody. There's no judge. It flows naturally as to where you should go. If you cultivate only good cause, you would go to a place where there's good cause. If you cultivate a bad cause, the effect will be bad. And who judges that you should go this way or that way? Nobody judges it. You walk your own way. You will naturally walk the way that is based on what you have done. There's no judge who punishes you. There's no God who praises you. All that is in your mind. Don't think about a judge that would judge you. Don't think about a God who would compliment you with rewards. If you have done this, I'll give you the reward of going to heaven. If you have done this, I will have a judge to judge you down to hell. There's nothing like that. If you are cultivating causes that will pull you down to hell, automatically you go down to hell. If you cultivate causes that will pull you up to heaven, you automatically go to heaven. What's the example that we should give? Well, a very practical example. Who judges whether you'll be do good in a company? So I'm a worker in a company. Who is to judge? Who is to judge? I'm a good worker? I'm a bad worker? Who is to judge that? I should be fired, or I should have a raise. I should be promoted. Who judges that? You think the boss judges that? He's not the main judge. He's just the observer. Who judges it? Who determines it? You yourself determine. How do I determine it? How do I make a decision? What decisions are made for me? Now, for example, I'm a worker. I know that I have to be punctual. I know that I have to be responsible. I know that I have to be loyal to the company. I know that I have to endure difficult times. I know that I have to get along with my colleagues. I want to cultivate all the good causes in the company. I want to be hardworking. I want to have amicable relationship with all my workers. I want to be loyal to the company. I like what I'm doing. All these are good causes that will help you to have a good performance. And if you have a good performance, how do people see you? Oh, John is really a good worker. John is reliable. John is responsible. John is hardworking. John is very friendly. John is not selfish. There wouldn't be any judge. You will go to that where you will be rewarded, not by the judge, naturally. Somehow your boss one day will say, John, you are the best worker in here. I'm going to give you a promotion. You work here for only 2 weeks, but I can see you are good. And after 1 or 2 years, you work for 2-3 years, you're excellent. I'm retiring. I want you to be the manager of this company. So automatically the causes come up that you become the manager of that company. Who judges it? No, nobody. You walk your own way. You walk it out. You create your own destiny. In a certain way, you are your own judge. You may say that the boss is your judge. He isn't. You created it. On the other hand, if you're just working the opposite, you are irresponsible, you are lazy, you couldn't get along with anybody, you're egoistic. One day the manager would say, John, I can't use you anymore in here. We have to let you go. You can't get along with people. So the final decision for John is that he has to go. Who make that decision? Actually, if you really have the in-depth thinking, it's not your boss who make the decision. It's you. You make that decision. When you started the job, when you're performing on the job, you make every second the decision of being fired. Do I need to go any further with examples? No, I don't need to go any further. You are your own God. You are your own judge. On the other hand, you are your own slave. Which one you want to be? It's up to you. That answers that question. Second question, hello, what stream? I like the word hello. It's very casual. I yet have to see a hi. What stream, and should we take it seriously? Dream happen based on many reasons. One of the many reasons is in your consciousness, in your hidden consciousness, you have certain images in there already. Because we have alaya consciousness that pass from one life to another. You may have a dream that will flash back to your previous life. Sometimes something happens so mystically. You don't know why. In your dream, you could be in one dream. You dream of living in Hawaii, or you dream of living in Africa. You've never been to Africa, but you thought about living in Africa because you lived in Africa before. Because in your consciousness, you have that hidden images in you, in your memory. You know, all of us, we don't have just one life, you know. It's not just, when I finish this life, I have no more. You come from the past. You are now at the present. If you do not get out of life and death, you pass into the next life. Some people were born with them, with memory, with good memory of the past. Many, many examples, thousands of examples that people were born in this life and they still remember the past, especially for the first, during childhood, when life is not too complicated for them and the memory is still fresh. So the story goes that one day Janet came up to Mom and said, Mom, I came from Japan. Possible. Mom, I was a soldier before and I got killed, and now I come to you. And now whenever I heard about gunfire, I got frightened because I was killed in a war. In the First World War, in the Second World War. There's so many cases of reincarnations. So there are hidden images in your alaya consciousness, and sometimes its images come up. These images will not come up without a reason, though. If these images come up and they are all bad, dreams about suffering, dreams about ugliness, dreams about starvation and earthquake, or dreams about kill and being killed, you got to watch out because you, while you are awake, you do not do good things enough to reflect good images. You always think maybe negatively, with anxiety, you're always egoistic, you're always thinking about yourself, you're not rendering compassion to others. So that's the reason why if you always render loving kindness to others, if you're always compassion to others, your images are going to be good. A bodhisattva should practice four perspectives of, what should I say, of cultivation. What are these four perspectives? The first one, I gotta rethink in Chinese language first. 慈喜悲喜舍. 喜悲喜舍. What is qi? Loving kindness. Loving kindness. What is bei? Bei, compassion. What is hei? Sympathetic joy. What is se? Equanimity. So what is the first one? Loving kindness. Loving kindness is to make people happy. What is the next one? Compassion. Compassion is taking out your suffering. It's different from the first. The first is to give you all the happiness or make you happy. And the second one is compassion is, if you are suffering, I like to take out your suffering, remove your suffering. So if you're annoying people, if you're hurting people, are you rendering compassion? If you're revenging by violence, you do this to me, a tooth for a tooth. You hit my tooth off, I'm going to hit your tooth off. A tooth for a tooth, a face for a face. Are you rendering compassion? No, you're not. You're not rendering compassion. So compassion is to take pain out from people. So if you're a doctor who is always healing patients, you are the most compassionate doctor. But if you're a doctor who's aiming at making money, you don't care about your patients, you're not a compassionate doctor. That's the second. What's the third? Sympathetic joy. Sympathetic joy to make everybody joyful is related to the first one. Sympathetic joy is to render to all sentient beings, not just to one individual. Sympathetic joy, you're being sympathetic. And what is the last one? Equanimity. What is equanimity? It's peacefulness of letting go. Letting go of what? Letting go of your mental afflictions, letting go of your jealousy, letting go of your hatred, letting go of your violence behavior, letting go of all those that are no good. So if you dream, going back to the question, if you always have these four immeasurable equanimities of mind, of mental attitude, your dream will show up to be meritorious dream, good dream, dream of compassion, dream of joy. But if you always have bad dream, that you're falling into a trap, you're falling into hell, you're always falling from a mountain, you got to watch out. Maybe you're egoistic. Maybe you should improve on yourself. So the dreams sometimes tell you your direction. If you're always thinking of others in your dream, you will always think of others. So how to purify your dream? How to help you to make good dreams? In your daily life, you'll be a nice person. Your dream will be nice. And that's from the consciousness. And of course, there are other things that is not out of the consciousness, that's out of the present life. And there are other dreams that's also like a deja vu to you. Now you're dreaming ahead. Like there's something that's happening in the future and you know it now in your dream. Why? Because you're analyzing that in your dream. Something is going to happen, but at the back of your mind, you can put all these causes and effect together, and you sort of postulate a decision. You sort of projecting on a decision that's going to happen. We all have that power, you know. Or some people do their homework in a dream. A good salesman do their homework in a dream. When a salesman, before a salesman go to sleep, they say, I'm going to put all this information together. Dream, Mr. Dream, I'll work in my dream. So he worked in, how do I improve this public relations? I'm going to see that client tomorrow. How do I dress? How do I talk? How do I convince him? And in his dream, he's full of all, his dream is a conference of all causes put together. Because it's programmed, the dream. You can program your dream sometimes. How? Think about nice things. Think about my agenda for the new year. How do I be a volunteer in a nursing home? How do I volunteer in hospice care? How do I improve myself? How do I improve my family relationship? All these can happen in your dream. I think there are books about dream, and I'm not a writer of those books, so I'm not going to continue any further. That's it for this question. Okay, next question. If I understand well, today's lesson taught us that we are nothing. Today, did I teach you to be nothing? So how can we be reborn if we are nothing? And if there is nothing, why do we have to go to nirvana? We are nothing. A nothing should consume nothing. Then you shouldn't be sitting here eating your food. You should be out there starving because you're nothing. On the one hand, you say, I'm something. My stomach is hungry. On the other hand, you say, I'm nothing. Well, you are nothing, but you are everything. You are nothing, but you are everything. Remember what I said about a poem by William Blake? William Blake, B-L-A-K-E, a British poet. To see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wild flower. Whole infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. If you can hold infinity in the palm of your hand, are you nothing? If you can see a world in a grain of sand, are you nothing? You're not nothing. I remember there was a teenager who asked his parents, Mom, I failed in my test. I'm nothing. I should be blamed. I lose face. I'm nothing. Well, and then the sister said, no, Sonny, you're not nothing. You're everything. Why? Because when you close your eyes, you still can see. When you close your eyes, you can imagine. You can imagine so many things. When you open your eyes, yes, you only see certain things, but when you close your eyes, you can see the whole world. Why? Because I can think of millions of miles away. Your mind is everything. Your mind now can travel to North America. Your mind now can travel to California. Your mind can nurture yourself to be one of the most successful men on earth if you want to be. You're everything. In appearance, you could be nothing. But mentally, you are everything. So how come you say you are nothing? When we say nothing, we don't mean nothing. We mean emptiness. In the Sanskrit language, it's sunyata. Emptiness. Emptiness does not mean nothing. Emptiness depicts everything. Why? Emptiness explains the philosophy of the world. Emptiness explains everything arises on causality. Everything formed because of causes and conditions. But causes and conditions come together, there's something formed. Causes and conditions disintegrate, no more cause. no more conditions for it to survive, then it collapses. So emptiness means causality, means everything depends on causes. And everything is impermanent. Everything does not have its real essence. It's dependent. So that's why it's nothing. You see it as nothing, but it exists. This thing itself is nothing because it does not have its own reality. It does not have its own real essence because it is a conglomeration of all the causes put together. You analyze this remote control. This is color, metal, plastic, wires inside, color, and everything that constitutes this thing. This is called remote control. But this one does not have its real essence. It is just a combination of all causes put together. This is impermanent. This is breakable. One day it will go. Me as a person, I'm nothing. Why? Because I don't have a real entity. There's nothing defined, of course, in terms of emptiness. Because now I exist. Where do I come from? How do I exist? I exist now, but I'm not permanent. I'm not eternity. I don't know if you understand, if you follow that concept, you really have to go deeper to think about it. You are not nothing. Okay, that answers the question, because this requires your own intelligence to perceive. We don't have a mind from past. Why? Thank you for everything. Well, we don't have a mind from past. No, sometimes we remember the past. How come you say you don't have a mind from past? But we don't attach to the past. Do not attach to the past, because the past, the time of the past does not come into the present. Do not attach to the past to give yourself anxiety and depression. Whatever happened. It won't come to the present. Whatever happened in the past will not come to the present. So why do you always bring back the past? To bring the bad memory? To bring back your unhappiness? When you talk to your husband or to your daughters and sons in dispute, you always think about, how did I treat you in the past? I gave you the education. I gave you everything. Well, that's the past. Yes, you gave him everything. But that belongs to the past. Don't attach to what you have given. What you have given is already given out. How do you know that you don't owe him or her something in the previous life? The fact that you're always giving to your second daughter and not the first is because you own your second daughter more than the first in previous lives. Relationship is very complicated. Some relationship is good, some relationship is bad. There's no two relationships that are the same. You like your daughter better than your son, or your son better than your daughter, all have reasons. You can't change that reason for the past, but you can change it for the future. More loving kindness, more compassion, more sympathetic joy, more equanimity, and that will change. So although everything is changing, you can improve on it. So that answers the question. How do we do whenever we feel fear and anxiety? I think one of a very practical way is when you have fear and anxiety, without going too deep into this question, why don't you chant Om Mani Padme Hum to strengthen yourself with the energy of letting go, of getting rid of your fear and anxiety, thinking that when you chant Om Mani Padme Hum, you are being energized, you have the energy of being strong, you have the energy of confidence, You have the energy of combating your anxiety. Why don't you build up your energy by an external source, combination of your internal source? Om Mani Padme Hum is a mantra of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, who is a Bodhisattva giving out sympathetic joy, giving out compassion, giving out loving kindness to all those who chant this mantra. There are beings we can't see. They're invisible. Do you believe in it? There are beings in this world who are invisible. It beats science. Even science cannot prove it. And some people say if it can be proved by science, it's not valuable. I still remember there was a book, it's called The Power of Myth by Campbell. And there was one day a priest asked him, Mr. Campbell, a philosopher, and he said, Mr. Campbell, there is no logical way to prove the existence of God. Is there any? We couldn't find any logical, scientific way to prove the existence of God. And Campbell said, if there were, what then would be the value of faith? It's because it couldn't be proven by science. Anything proven by science could be wrong later, found out to be wrong later. Is that mystic, the myth? Is that spirituality? Is that nirvana? Is that tathagata? That has the value, and that cannot be comprehended by science, by logic. Logic is from discrimination of the mind. Logic itself is incomplete. Why? Logic can't explain everything. It helps you to think, but it can't explain everything. Logic helps to arrive at a better solution than without logic, but it cannot solve the problem. Next question. What is the meaning and purpose of taking a vow of silence? How long should we go for? Did I say we should have a vow of silence? No, I don't believe that we have to. Of course, when you are sitting in meditation, you have to maintain silence, but I don't know, should there be a vow of silence? Are you talking about, you could be in silence, but your mind may be all over the place. I'm sitting in here, I'm in silence, but my mind is thinking millions of miles away. It's not just the silence, it's what's in the mind. The equanimity of the mind, the peacefulness of the mind, not just sitting in silence. You're sitting in silence, you shut up, the mouth doesn't talk, but your mind is going all over the place. Your mind is like a monkey, it's non-stop. That's not right. You have to pull the monkey back and put it in concentration. Are you talking about concentration or not silence, I think? I don't know. How was the first human created? I think this question has been brought up all the time, and it takes... I don't want to go into detail of this. What is the first human created? When you draw a circle, which dot is the beginning? If you have a circle, the beginning is the end. And then when you finish the circle and you ask yourself, of course you start from one point, but that point is exactly where you stop. The end of it. So which one is the beginning? Which one is the end? What comes first, chicken or egg? A chicken comes first or egg comes first? And when the weather forecast said the wind is from the southeast, where does the wind come from? From the southeast? Is southeast the source of the wind? How does the wind get to the southeast? So, why are you worrying about the first human? You want to write about the ancestry of your own family? Why do you, the first human created? Don't upset your mind and rack your mind to find out the first human. You'll never get it. Why don't you just think about if you want to know what the first human created, Why don't you just tell me the answer? Egg or chicken? Which one comes first? And I must warn you, don't think too much. You get crazy. You get crazy if you think about that all the time. Why? Because there's so many things in the world that is unknown. So many things in this world that is beyond our comprehension, beyond our mind that is conceptual. When we think, we have to conceptualize things. It's just like when you want to think about God, we have to personify the God. So that's why we want to create an image, like a Buddha statue, When you think about Buddha, you cannot think without conceptualizing something. You cannot think about Buddha unless you think about the figure of a Buddha, the image of a Buddha, the statue of a Buddha. And how do you create that image so that you can think about that Buddha? You carve a piece of wood, you chip it, you go leave it, you paint it. And if you think the Buddha really looks like that, the Buddha would laugh. You think the Buddha really looked like that? I make this Buddha and I think, this is what the Buddha looked like. There's a saying, Avalokitesvara would die from laughter. If you think that is the Buddha. That's just a personification for the sake of thinking about it, because we cannot think without conceptualizing. And that conceptualization is wrong. That's what the Diamond Sutra is all about. The Buddha is not a Buddha, that is why it is called Buddha. If you think the Buddha is a Buddha, then you have an erroneous view. You don't understand the Buddha's teaching. The Buddha is a Buddha because it is called Buddha, expediently called Buddha. But the Buddha is not Buddha.